Boom, baby. MMA Gossip, episode 15, back in your life. You know, the usual. Give this video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, the usual. At MMA Gossip on Twitter, X Gossip, rather, sorry. At MMA X Gossip on Instagram, Gmail, the whole nine. Following up on episode 14 and a half. Episode 14 was with the NJ Betting Guru. Episode 14.5 was Poirier versus Hooker review. This is episode 15, UFC Fight Island. We fucking made it. Yaz Island. Jorge Masvidal taking on Kamaru Usman. Max Holloway taking on Alexander Volkanovski. And Jose Aldo taking on Petr, how the fuck you want me to say it, Jan. It's a hell of a card. It's a little top heavy, but I'm excited. We made it. Abu Dhabi. We're in this bitch.
Yep. As always, we'll be running through the card top to bottom. We'll give you a little bit of an analysis. So our picks. We'll talk about the betting lines a little bit. And as always, on Saturday, we will make our 3 picks, our 1 lock, and our 1 underdog pick. So let's get right into it. First fight on the card is Martin Day versus Davey Grant at 135 pounds. Currently, they got Martin Day at minus 190. Davey Grant is plus 150. Matt.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Martin Day on this one. At first glance, I was actually going to go with Grant. But then I was looking, he's like 2 wins since 2013. And I saw 8 of 11 wins by sub. So I was like, you know how I said in previous podcasts, I'm always like, I side with the grapplers, just, you know, what I do. Then I actually went back and watched Martin Day's only fight in the UFC against, I'm going to butcher his fucking name, but Ping Yang Liu. It was on the Blades Nagano 2. And I kind of thought he won that fight. I thought he looked really good. He defended takedowns well, and honestly, that's all I needed to see. His striking is smooth as fuck, and as long as he keeps this fight standing, he's 5'10". He's got a reach advantage, and I'm siding with the favorite in the first one. We're going Martin Day. Chris?
I totally agree with you. Martin Day, he's a little bit old. I think he's like 34 when I was checking him out. But, Davey Grant just isn't good. This is a low-level MMA fight. This is the first fight on the early prelims for a reason. Not too much to say about it. I'm going with Martin Day on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Martin Day as well. He's just got way better stand-up, way better cardio. He lost on the Contender Series, but he won the 3rd round decisively. And you know how I am about that 3rd round finish. You know, I put stock into that. Davey Grant has like a lot of submission wins, and his only 3 losses are all submission losses. So I don't know what kind of fighter he's trying to be. I feel like he needs momentum in his fights, and he's just not going to get it against Martin Day, who's just going to pick him apart from the outside. It's like really crisp shots, awesome cardio. It's going to be easy decision all day. All right. Up next, we got Carol Rosa going up against Vanessa Mello, and I think Carol Rosa is about a minus 220 right now, and Vanessa Mello is about plus 185. Matt.
Over in the favorite. Chris. I'm not going to front. Like, I don't know shit about either of these two.
I'm with you, dude. I know what I read on SureDog today. Vanessa Mello, yeah, okay, fine. They both suck. Cal Rosa is going to win this fight. It's going to be a decision. Neither one of them, when I was doing my research today, have a Wikipedia page, and that's usually the tell-all for these early prelim fights. I'm going to go with the minus, 240 favorite in Cal Rosa.
I don't even want to make a pick here because I think Carol Rosa, they both are horrendous, but the fact that I was like picking the lesser of 2 evils, you just don't want to do it. So I'm going to just go with the underdog here because I thought Carol Rosa's got 1 fight in the UFC and she got hit like well over 100 times in that fight. She didn't look good at all. I don't know why she's a minus 220, so I'll just go with the dog here. She seems like she can scrap. She's not very good, 10-7, but I'll go with the dog here. Up next, this is actually a pretty fun fight. You got Zhalgas Zhumagulov or Zhumagulov or something like that, something crazy, going up against Raulian Paiva. Raulian Paiva is minus 190. Zhalgas is plus 150. Matt.
This is a tough fight. And for those who don't know, Paiva is Mike's favorite fighter. But no, seriously, I want to go with Paiva. He's definitely going to be the bigger guy in there. He's going to be, for what I've seen, he's definitely going to be a lot faster, has more knockout power. But Zamagulov, however you say his name, he's Kazakhstanian, or I don't even think that's how you say it. He's related to Borat or some shit. But he's a lot more technical, but he's definitely a lot slower. I don't know. I am on Mike's side with this. I think Paiva is better than his 1-2 record shows, and I think he's young and has room to grow. I think he takes this fight, but I do think the longer the fight goes on, the more risk that he's going to be at. I think you could see Zumagulov start to mix in some wrestling and just kind of – because he is a vet. He's a champ in another promotion. I forget which one. It was a weird one. But you know how vets are. They know how to win fights, especially when it's going to decision. And Paiva, he's definitely better. I'm gonna go with the favorite on this one. I don't think I'll regret it. After watching more of him, I do think that Mike is right. He does have a lot of room to grow, and I think he showcases that on Saturday. Chris?
Yeah, everything you just said, I totally second, Matt. And the other thing is, Paiva's got, he beat Mark De La Rosa, but I mean, who hasn't beat Mark De La Rosa at this point? But still, he's fought veterans. De La Rosa being one of them. I think his last fight before that, he lost to Bontarine on a head. It was a head strike, right? Like a head clash of heads. And I think that was a fight he was going to win. So his 2-1 record really is a 1-1 record, and he's got to win over a vet. I see him doing it here again and making that record 2-2 in the UFC.
I do think it's everything you guys both said. I'm 100% on board with. But it's interesting to note that this fight did open up as a pick'em, and money came flooding in on Paiva. And, he's 24 years old. I'm pretty sure he's well over 20 fights. And he has more fights than Zalgas, who's like 32 years old. But what's interesting is that, like, if you watch Zalgas' fight, like, he fought Ali Bagautinov, he fought Tyson Nam 5 rounds, and he looked good all 5 rounds. His cardio was very good. And if you watch Paiva's fight with Kai Kara France, it was a split decision loss. Very close, a couple nut shots, but he gets hit a lot. Paiva gets hit a lot. So going up against somebody like Zalgas, who's game everywhere on the feet and on the ground, like, I think the line opened up correctly. My pick is probably going to be Paiva come Saturday, but if the line keeps shooting that direction and Zalgas gets pushed up higher than plus 150, I think there's no value on Paiva. Up next, Leonardo Santos going up against Roman Bogatov, something like that. Matt.
Wait, sorry, Mike. Who is he going up against right now?
Leonardo Santos is going against Roman Bogatov.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. I was on the UFC website, and per usual, they have the fights out of order. On there, they have Tibura as the next fight, so my bad. Anyway, I'm actually kind of pumped about this fight, and I'm going to go into why. I'm not going to rant as much as, for a fight this low in the card, but let's just go into Santos real quick. He's 40 years old, doesn't fight often, but if you look at when he does fight, he fucking wins. He beat Rocco Martin. He knocked out Kevin Lee. Granted, this was before Kevin Lee decided to get his train on the tracks before it was quickly derailed. Beat Andrano Martins, who I'm not really sure who he is, but he beat him. And then he knocked Stevie Ray the fuck out cold in the Gustafsson-Smith card last summer. But, he's in jiu-jitsu ace. He's very, very, very kick heavy. He throws kicks like it's a jab. You watch, like, the first fight, the fight against Martins, like, I think he probably threw like 20 to 30 kicks in the first round. It's crazy. But my point is, like, this guy's fought 5 times since 2014, won all 4 fights. If you want to go before that, he's winning all those fights as well. Honestly, hasn't lost since 2009. It sucks. He's 40 years old. I think, just watching as much as I have of him this week, I think something at one point could have been made of him. But that being said, again, he's 40 years old. But he's a fucking really good fighter, in my opinion. And I think he makes I don't think he makes quick work of Bogatov, because what I gathered of him, he's a very heavy grappler, great takedowns, and that's Santos's bread and butter. But I'm fine with Santos fighting off of his back. From what I've seen out of him, more than happy, and I give him the advantage on the feet. He's definitely going to be a bigger guy in there. He's like 6 feet tall, which is, pretty tall for lightweight. But, I'm a fan of Santos. It sucks that his career, I think he got hurt a lot, if I'm correct, but fought some tough guys, man. And, I'm pumped to see him back in there again Saturday, because after this, if his career progresses as it has, who knows when you'd see him again. But my pick's definitely Santos. Chris?
Well, thanks for taking every single one of my talking points, Matt. But I completely agree with what you said with Bogatov coming in wrestling heavy and Leonardo Santos being very well versed there. I know he's medaled at ADCC before. I think he's got some bronze, silvers, and Pan Ams. He's won gold medals, so he's going to be very capable there. I did not realize that he was 40 years old until I was checking it out a little bit earlier in the week, and I would put more stock into that, especially him coming off a longer layoff. But I think he knocked the ring rust straight out of himself and Stevie Ray in the last fucking fight. So I have no concerns with him coming in here. And I think that Leonardo Santos still got some left in the tank because of the time off. I think that could have I'm not going to say rejuvenated him because he's 40 years old. But resting could only help him, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Leonardo Santos in this one, too. He's a psychopath, and last time he fought a wrestler that well-versed was Kevin Lee, and he knocked Kevin Lee out too. So,
real quick on that Kevin Lee bit, I forgot. He was plus 400 underdog in that fight, knocked him out in the first round. So.
Yeah. Leonardo Santos, he doesn't look 40 years old. So, like, props to him for just looking so damn well in his last fight against Stevie Ray. And I think the stand-up here is a clear advantage for Leonardo Santos. If you watch Bogatov's fights, like, he will, shoot in, dart in, eat punches just to get a hands on you and bring you to the ground. If you do that, someone against a jiu-jitsu phenom like Leonardo Santos, you're feeding right into his game. And if you can't get the takedown, you're going to get pieced up on the feet. So I think there's a lot of value at Santos at minus 190. I think you should throw him in all your parlays. I think he's going to tune this guy up. He's an M1 champ, though. He's undefeated, so he can't, take anything away from him, but he's just too grapple heavy, and he's a pressure fighter, and I think that's going to feed right into Santos's game. I think it's going to be a quick night for Santos, and he's quietly 5-0-1 since 2013 in the UFC. Like, he was fighting when Fuel TV was still, like, UFC was still part of Fuel TV. Like, that's absurd, and he's undefeated since then. 5-0-1, crazy. So I'm with him 100%. Up next, we have Marcin Tybura. Heavyweight bout going up against Maxim Grishin. I think it's a pick'em fight. You might find some places where Grisham is a little bit of an underdog, but not really interested in this fight. Matt, I know you have a ton to say about this. Go.
Oh yeah, I'm pumped for it. I can't wait to watch Tybura just do his thing. No, but all seriousness, I said to my pre-podcast, I have no fucking idea why this guy is still on the roster. Like, I said to Mike, when there's guys that suck but they're on the roster because they have entertainment value, this guy literally has none of that. And of course, he goes and wins his last fight out against Spivak or whatever, but that fight was just horrible. I don't know, man. I don't see a point in him being on this roster. I'm going to fade him into oblivion every fight from here on out. For what I gathered from Grisham, I think this is his first fight at heavyweight. If I correct me if I'm wrong, but Sherdog had him listed as a 205er, and I look back and his fights were pretty much all 205. He is the same height though, but Tybura is a big boy. I don't know, man. I don't even know what kind of fighter Tybura is. One fight he's coming out, he's throwing overhands. Another fight he's coming out and he's just shooting double legs. Like, I don't know. I'm just fading him because he sucks. Chris.
I agree with you. I think that Alexander Romanov is coming in here. I think he's the 11-0 or 11-1 or something. He's definitely a prospect, and I think that they want him to knock Tybura out. I think what happened, Mike?
Wrong person. It's Maxim Grishin. Alexander Romanov was off the card like a day ago or 2 days ago.
I thought didn't they say they were going to move the Tybura fight to Wednesday then? I could be totally reading this wrong. I must have read an outdated article then. Now it's my fault. But
no, it's all right. I'm pretty sure that it's Maxim Grishin and Tybura on Saturday.
Oh, I didn't even fucking see that then. I was reading the wrong shit then.
It
doesn't matter. Well, let's put it this way. I'm very uninterested in who the fuck Marcin Tybura is fighting regardless. And like Matt said, I'm just going to fade him to oblivion then.
Well said. I have nothing further to add than to fade Tybura into oblivion. Awesome. Next fight. This one's actually really interesting. We got Danny Henry sitting at a plus 160, plus 170 in some places, going against Makwan Americani, who's sitting around minus 200, minus 210. Matt, I want to hear your take on this because we were talking about this prior.
Yeah. I like Makwan. Every fight he's in, he's entertaining. He's always talking shit throughout the fight. But I just think that the Burgos fight kind of exposed him a bit in a sense that if he can't get the fight to the ground, he's just at a disadvantage striking. I think Henry's going to be their bigger guy, and I think he's really, really well-rounded. I'm kind of high on him, actually, from what I've watched, man. Like, he can grapple. He can hang everywhere. And I think that if Makwan can't get the fight to the ground, to a certain degree, you're going to see a very similar performance to the Burgos fight where he's just getting beaten up on the feet by Henry. And even if it does go to the ground, man, I think Henry could completely hang with him. His grappling's pretty legit, and you know what Makwan wants to do. He wants to be on the ground, and he's hunting for that submission all the time. That's his game, and I think Henry has the style and the power to, impose his will and finish the fight. I really do think in a really similar fashion. I think he wears on him and gets a late TKO KO victory. Chris?
You said, do you think Amir Khan is going to get the late victory?
No, I'm fading Amir Khan. I'm on Henry. I think Henry's got better stand-up, and I think that's where the fight's going to be for most of the time because I think Makwan has a hard time getting to the ground. Even though he's got great wrestling, I think the fight's is going to be standing up just enough for Henry to either finish him or steal rounds.
Dude, I completely agree. It's funny you guys said that you guys talked before the fight because this is one where I think Murakami is like a 2-1 favorite, as Mike had said. And this is one where Danny Henry's he's a live dog in this one for sure because as Matt just said in the Burgos fight, Amir Khan had no gas tank. He was completely gassed almost by the end of the first round. By the end of round 2, it was like you could have just ended the fight right there. You knew it was going to happen. I think Amir Khan, I think it was Andy Ogle, I want to say, he knocked out in like 8 seconds or 9 seconds, and all of a sudden he just got burst onto the scene. He's on Ariel Shell talking about how he saved his brother from a burglar, and it's just like, he got some exposure. Then he's getting the rub from Conor McGregor solely because you see Kavanaugh in his corner, training at SPG, doing the whole 9. But Amir Khan hasn't. I think he was a little bit overhyped, and I haven't seen anything from him. So I'd be happily proven wrong, but I'm going to fade him in this fight as well.
Oh, wow, this is so weird. We're all like in agreement with this fight. I just think the line is totally inflated. -210. Are you crazy? He gets tired in every fight. Do you remember that Jason Knight fight where he was like showboating and then he got dropped by Jason Knight? Dude, you got dropped by Jason Knight. And it's just like, yeah, and he went back to his corner, and his corner was like, all right, stop showboating, okay? We get it. You're having fun out there, but we're trying to win here. Like, it just wasn't a good look. And, yeah, his grappling is, like, phenomenal, but he's a great fighter for, like, the first 2 minutes of every round. Then he's tired, and he kind of just, like, he goes for submissions, gets himself in bad positions, and he's just not very durable. And then you have someone who's very durable in Danny Henry, who's just going to come forward aggressive. He leaves his chin out in the air, but he can take a punch. He got ran through by Dan Ige, but, Dan Ige is hot right now, so there's really no shame in that.
Mike's second favorite fighter.
Yeah. A while back, he absolutely obliterated Hakeem Dawodu, like way back. So that was a crazy – he, like, rocked him and got him like a crazy guillotine choke. He was laying on top of him. It was sick. So, like, I'm gonna go with Danny Henry, man. He's durable. He's tough. He's got better cardio, and Makwan is 100% overinflated right now.
So all 3 of the MMA Gossip boys are on the +175 underdog. We probably just ended his career, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so interesting. I really didn't think that we were all going to agree on this one, but nonetheless, 3 great minds think alike. Up next, we have Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos going up against Muslim Salikov. Great fight, Matt.
Dude, this is a hard fight to pick, too. I'm just scrolling through my notes here. I think these guys are, like, I watch them, and the only difference to me is one's Russian and one's Brazilian. Like, they both throw a heavy diet of spin attacks. Heavy. And Muslim, you look at him, and he looks like a shit brick house, but he's uber athletic, crazy explosive. And, Dos Santos is kind of more of the same, even though he's, if you look at both of them side to side, this chiseled freak and then this fucking plotter, they're both explosive as hell. The line is what it is for a reason. But I don't know, man. Something about Dos Santos, like, he was so hot for a while, and I felt like I was just about to get on this train. Like, we actually thought about this previously. It was I forget what fight it was. It was the, what's it called?
Alexei Kuchenko.
No, there was another one you told me I was an idiot for, and I was wrong because I was right about Alexei, and then Li Jiang. You told me I was an idiot for taking him there. I don't know, man. You just slowly started to see that train stop. He literally sent Curtis Melender to Bellator, and then Li Jiang made him look cool for 3 rounds till he finally finished him. And I don't even think he looked that great against Kunchenko, or however you say his name. I don't know, man. I'm going with a heavy diet of leg kicks from Muslim, and I think he takes this. I think it's actually going to be a boring fight, man. These guys are both heavy counter strikers too. Muslim does really like to sit back and wait to counter. I think I would like to see a price on an over here. But I'm gonna go Sakalhov, or however you say his name here. I'm actually gonna fade, and I'm always on Dos Santos. I'm fading him here. Chris?
Dude, I would love to. So, like, do you guys know who Borchinia Depot is on like MMA Twitter?
Yeah.
I've listened back to our podcast a ton of times, and once you catch yourself on film, we listen back to it a few times. I've said some stupid shit and said things wrong, and I've heard Mike say, like, remember Mike said like meat and tomatoes. Matt, you called them a shit brick house. So it's just like funny. Like I listen back and I hear this stupid shit we say, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. But with that being said, I agree with you, and I like what you said about Muslim. Muslim has, I think, I was reading somewhere like 200 plus kickboxing matches. Then I started looking through his I went on Wikipedia after I read that on like Tapology or SureDog. I was like, I gotta check this out on Wikipedia just to see like who, any big names or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But dude, 200 kickboxing matches. And I think he has like 80 plus knockouts. And he only lost very, very few of those fights, which kickboxing is, I don't want to say it's more of a point style, but you don't see as many knockouts in kickboxing as you do in mixed martial arts, obviously. But he's still pretty knockout heavy there. And I could see Dos Santos. I know he just got knocked out. Oh, it was Li Jingliang. Just knocked him out fairly recently. And I'm going to ride with him on this one. What's the odds on this one? He's a small favorite.
Plus 130 for Dos Santos is the dog.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I'm gonna ride with Muslim on this one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a really tough fight to call. I'm excited for this one. I am.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one too. It's gonna be. It's what we haven't talked about yet is that, like, Muslim, like you said, he's a kickboxer by nature. He's 36 years old. He only got into mixed martial arts like not too long ago. But Dos Santos has a ground game. Like, he can take you down and beat you up. So, like, that's something that I don't think the line took into consideration, because if he decides to go for the takedown, he gets it, he can win. Like, Alex Garcia submitted Muslim Salikov in Salikov's debut way back in the day. So that's definitely a route to victory for him. But with that being said, is like, I do think that Dos Santos is 100% a different fighter than he was before the Li Jingliang fight. After that fight, when he fought Alexei Kunchenko, he was very hesitant, not his usual self. Like, he's one of those guys that gets lured into a brawl, and that that proved to be his demise sometimes, especially in the Li Jingliang fight. But like, I thought he lost to Lyman Good, which is like a really close split decision brawl.
I did too.
I think he's a different fighter now, and I think if Salikov can keep the fight on the feet and tune him up with those crazy spinning attacks he's got, so fast for a 36-year-old man. He doesn't look 36 out there. He moves so nice. So I'm putting a lot of stock into Muslim. I'm putting in all my parlays. I'm picking him soundly here too. And I wanted to fade Dos Santos in the last fight against Kunchenko, which was a very close fight too. So I'm gonna keep on that train. I'm gonna go with Salikov here for I agree. I think it's gonna go over 2.5 at least to a decision for Salikov, a sound one. Especially how Salikov looked awesome in his last fight against Staropoli. So
I like that call in the over.
What?
I like that call in the over there. I want to see a price on that for sure.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Like you mentioned, Staropoli, kind of a similar fight. If you remember that first round, they were literally just trading spinning attacks, and that's literally what might happen in this fight as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so we've seen him fight a guy with this style before, and as long as Dos Santos doesn't implement wrestling, which we really haven't seen lately. If I remember the Li Jingliang fight, he was the one taking him down. He made him look like he never grappled before. So, it's just maybe the line is the way it is because it's just not something we've seen out of him from a long time. I think people forget.
Matt, who did you bet on the over and it was missed by 4 seconds? It was Kay Hansen, right? Kay Hansen. Dude, that's so bad. Like, he missed the bet by 4 secones.
4 seconds.
And I know we were talking about it. Was it who did OSP fight when he got submitted with literally exactly 30 seconds left? And it was a push. The over was a literal push.
I don't remember. We were watching it in my house, and I was really screaming for him. Remember, I was screaming, "Don't tap! Don't tap!" Mike, get to the next fight. I'm gonna look that fight up while you do that.
It's a dangerous game right here. Anyway, up next, this is an interesting one too. Actually, maybe not. Volkan Ozdemir going up against the newcomer here, Jiri Prochazka. Matt.
I already made up my mind on this one. I watch as much fights as I could watch on these two, and I've come to one conclusion, and that is I'm just gonna bet the under. I don't like the other guy cracks. I'm not gonna even try to say his name. I'm just gonna refer to him as the other guy. He fucking lights people up, dude. And he, for somebody that is making his UFC debut, has like 11 more fights than Volkov. Granted, Volkov's definitely fought better people, but like, I don't know, his last fight, he went to split decision in the fight that he was an underdog in against Rockchick, or however you say it. He won, knocked out Latifi, whatever. And before that, he was on a 3-fight skid to, you know, some solid guys, obviously, like Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith, and Cormier. But I don't know, man. Another one of those guys that, like, one fight he's coming out and he's throwing bombs, and then all of a sudden he starts wrestling. And I'm like, I hate that. I hate that more than anything. Like, you just don't know, and I don't trust him anymore, and he's chinny as fuck. He's very chinny. I'm taking the under. Both of these guys crack, and I would rather bet on both of them getting knocked out as opposed to who's going to land the big punch first. Chris?
So it's funny. So Jerry is just one of those fighters that I, for some reason, just heard about and knew a lot about. Because I always say I'm the MMA Gossip local Bellator expert. Jerry was actually in Ryzen, and they did like the Bellator Rising crossover, and he made King Mo Lawal look stupid. And I really became a fan of him from watching Rising. He's fighting all these juiced up guys over in Japan. So I was like, oh wow, this is potentially someone to watch. And then, Caposa on Twitter saying like, I told you about this guy, blah, blah, blah. So I've kind of heard about him for a while now. I know he knocked out Fabio Maldonado, which isn't saying much. He's about 1,000 years old. CB Holloway, he also knocked out. But I think Jiri's won his last literally 9 or 10 fights not by finish. So he's, like Matt said, he's a finisher. I mean, Ozdemir's a finisher also, the whole no time thing. He's been a little hot and cold lately. I am going to pick Jiri as a fan, and this reminds me a lot of the Michael Johnson Justin Gaethje fight, where it's like UFC caliber at the time versus the tomato can or the B league basically. And I want to see Jiri come in here and prove himself against one of the big dogs. Like, he didn't get the Ozdemir fight out of his first UFC fight for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see him do well with this opportunity.
Also, really quick, to be fair, I didn't clarify. I am going to pick Jiri as well, because I feel like I have to pick a fighter on this podcast. But unders to play. But if I had to pick a fight, I'm taking Jiri.
Yeah, I'm actually picking Jiri as well. I just think that Volkan. There's two different Volkans. There's no time Volkan, and then there's just Volkan. And no time knocks you out in like 30 seconds, like he did to Misha Serkinov and his first couple of fights in the UFC. And then there's the Volkan that gasses, and the Volkan that gets tired and sluggish and gets hit a lot. And like, he looks really good, awesome striker, good head movement, good movement in general for like a little while. But then if there's any bit of grappling or cage fighting, he gets tired and he gets lazy. He can take a punch. There's no question about that. But I could totally see a scenario when he gets like picked apart in rounds 2 and 3 and loses. Like, that's totally plausible, especially because Jiri's like an underdog here. I think that's a lot of value there. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Volkan, and I think I'm going to start fading him. He was on that 3-fight skid, and I don't know. Like, he came back and beat Ilir Latifi. Congratulations. And then you got a split decision over Rakic, which is, it was kind of an ugly fight. You both were tired. So I'm not putting a lot of stock into him anymore. I used to, but I'm going to go with the newcomer, see if he can make a splash, All right.
Mike,
go ahead.
Before we move on, I'm sorry. With our picks now, we'll do this live on air, I guess. Is there a line where, like, how we're doing the underdog, favorite, 3 in the middle? 3 in the middle could be anything. Even if if I think Paige Van Zandt's going to win, she could be one of my picks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Is there a line we're going to say it has to be for an underdog, or we don't want to do? As long as it's an underdog an underdog's an underdog, right?
Yeah, underdog's an underdog. I don't know. You want to draw the line for favorites, though, for locks at least? You want to?
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, it should be like minus 300 or something, right?
I agree.
Well, even when we're locking in guys like Woodson or minus 1 billion, they still fucking lose. So I don't think it matters.
None of us locked them.
Yeah, no one locked them.
I mean, we lock them. We picked them. You're right.
But yeah, okay. We'll draw the line at minus 300. Let's do that. Anyway, up next, speaking of outrageous lines, we got Paige Van Zandt going up against Jessica Ribas, who's like I think minus 835, something absurd like that. Matt.
The gimmick is fucking over, dude. Get Paige Van Zandt out of here. I've had enough of her naked fucking pictures on Instagram. Like, this isn't WWE. Go train. Stop breaking the same arm over and over and over. Like, there is no way on this planet I would put $1 on her in this fight. Ribas is good. She stopped the Mackenzie Dern hype train, and I think she's going to make quick work of Van Zandt. I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the last fight on her contract, right? Yeah, she's not getting re-signed. Go fucking play touch button Bellator for all I care. I'm over her. Unfollowed her on Instagram. Her husband's a legit fighter. He's dope. But as for Paige, I'm tired of her gimmick. Over it. Hope she gets her break speed off in this fight. Chris?
So it's funny you said that you wouldn't bet $1 on Paige Van Zandt. I put $100 on her. No, I'm only kidding. I did put today. I'd be lying if I said I didn't put $10 on Paige Van Zandt to win by decision, which was plus 1,100. So I put $10 on that because whatever. It's women's MMA. I can see her not being stopped and sneaking out 2 rounds because she is durable. Paige is actually durable and hangs in there. I know she went 5 rounds with Rose, but that was before Rose was Rose. I think she got stopped in the 5th, but still. Rachel Ostovich, she was getting beat up. I think, if I remember correctly, she was getting beat up pretty good and came back and won that. Or it was 1-1, I think, something like that, and she came back and won that. Amanda Ribas is fucking good. Dana White is literally putting this matchup to put Amanda Ribas over because, she's going to get the PVZ rub. And Paige has made it – I mean, I don't think she could make it any more clear that she's not re-signing with the UFC. She's trying to make a little splash and say, fuck this, fuck that, blah, blah, blah. They still treat her like a queen, but I think that she's going to be probably in Bellator or maybe just, doing something fucking else after this. But I think Bellator will pay her a good amount of money, and I think that's what we see her next. With that being said, I see Amanda Ribas beating her fairly soundly and getting that rub. And, if a good call out here for Ribas, she's in a good position where she gets a nice win over Paige. She can make a nice call out and, get a nice little push.
Yeah, you guys hit all the points that I wanted to touch. Ribas is the better fighter. There's no getting around that. Paige Van Zandt, you are like sound all around, but you're just not upper echelon, and you never will be. You're just a pretty face. I hate to say it, but it is what it is.
I just think that also, like, I was reading an interview of one of hers recently, and it's like about her impending free agency. And she was talking about it needs to be what the fuck did she say? She was like, I need to be paid to make it worth it. Well, like I just said, like, how about you just stop breaking the same fucking arm over and over and fight more than one time every 3 years? Maybe then you would be worth money. Like, you know what I mean? You don't fight. What are you getting paid for? She's like, I made the same amount of money if you added up my 6 years if I just worked a regular job. Well, how many times you fight in those 6 years? What do you – I don't know.
Right.
Fuck.
Another thing I want to say on that, 2 points I wanted to make that I didn't touch on. Amanda Ribas, Mike said, very well rounded. Amanda Ribas has 9 wins, 3 by decision, 3 by TKO, 3 by submission. Pretty well rounded. Paige, on the other hand, going back to what Matt just said about the whole fighter pay situation and how John Jones and Masvidal are coming out and saying this, that, the other thing and trying to be like advocates for other fighters to get pay. Paige is basically saying the same thing. But in mixed market, like Jorge Masvidal isn't going around on Dancing with the Stars and being a model. You know what I mean? He's getting paid on his performance in the octagon and what he can bring. Granted, Paige does bring eyes because she's a pretty face, but her record is terrible. I think she's like 7-5 or 7-4, something of the sort. And, her in octagon performance isn't what she's being, I don't know. I'm torn on that one because Paige does bring eyes. I'd be curious to see, the UFC has all that, like those statistics, how many eyes she really does bring at this point in her career. Like when she was on Dancing with the Stars, I'm sure, girls started watching it. But now Paige Van Zandt's over the hump. And I hate to say this on here because, it's 2020 and everyone's soft. Some of our friends are even saying Paige isn't even that hot anymore. I think she lost a little bit of her star and that's it. See you in Bellator.
Yeah. Her shine is definitely diminished, and let's not harp on this anymore. I'm so over this. Yeah. Let's go, Ribas. That's it. Up next, rematch: Jessica Andrade going up against Rose Namajunas. Matt.
So in the first one, as everyone probably remembers that would be watching this fucking podcast, Rose was winning convincingly, and I had a lot of money on Andrade, and I was shitting until she literally dropped Rose on her head and put her lights out. I do not see that happening again, and I was wrong in that first fight. I did not deserve to win. I got lucky. Those two told me I was an idiot, that I was completely disregarding Rose. Again, I was wrong. She's just better. And Andrade hits harder, but in the plotter, throwing overhands. Rose is going to stick and wins the fight. And that's the way this is going to go. I promise you. As long as Rose's crazy head is intact.
We're losing you, Matt.
Yeah, Matt, we can't hear you anymore.
Chris.
I'm taking a picture of this for the.
Here we go.
Oh, and of course he comes back right when I'm about to get the picture of him.
Frozen again. Go ahead and take a picture.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, Chris, why don't we jump to you and come back and get back?
All right, so with that being said, I got a picture of it for the gram. First ever time on MMA Gossip we've had technical difficulties thanks to the Wi-Fi, baby. It's got to happen at some point. We got ours out of the way just now. Matt, you're moving. Get back to what you were saying.
Where did I leave off? So I don't repeat myself.
I don't know. I mean, we heard you say that Rose is way better all around.
Okay. It was weird because I had a feeling I was frozen because I literally just saw Chris smiling and he wouldn't stop smiling with the same face. I was like, something's off. But I was like, yeah, she's a better fighter. I think she's going to stick and move for 5 rounds, exactly how she was in the first round. So she got dropped in her first fight until she got dropped on her head. She's going to showcase why her striking's better, more technical everywhere, and she doesn't need to just rely on throwing bombs to win the fight. That's as long as her head's straight, as long as she's not thinking all crazy, afraid to leave her house because Connor threw a dolly 8 years ago, I think we'll be okay. Chris?
Yeah, I agree with you. I just want to come out and say I fucking love doing this shit with you guys, whether hopefully, and I know one day we'll have a shit ton of listeners. For now, I think we got like 83 downloads of the podcast this week. We got 28 subscribers on YouTube already. I just love talking with you fucking guys and doing this once a week, and we're doing it regardless. Mike, I hope you're at my house Saturday. But anyway, with that being said, to quote, and I quote Matt on this one, he said that he was going to take out his parents and put their will Andrade beat Rose in their first fight. And then the rematch in a fight Rose lost, he's picking Rose, just to let everybody know. But I agree. I think that Rose is going to win this fight. She was handily winning the first fight. I picked her in that fight. I'm picking her again. I think the fact that she's a 2-1 favorite in a rematch coming up fight she lost, I think everyone is seeing what we saw. And I think she's going to outpoint her and win a decision here. And, yeah, I would put money on that. I would definitely bet on Rose in this one. Rose is way more technical. I mean, just watch the first fight, and we don't even need to give you a breakdown. You guys already saw what happened. Jessica's just a powerhouse, and she did what she did. With that being said, I know that Rose hasn't worked at all with Trevor Whitman for this camp, which is kind of weird. I saw that on UFC Countdown. I was kind of surprised by that. She stayed in Minnesota for this one. But, I mean, after all that time, putting in all that work, like I said, I think Rose got this one in the bag.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a sparring match. I think it's going to be a clear cut. Rose Namajunas is going to pick her apart, cut off the angles. Jessica Andrade is going to march forward like a soldier and just eat punches and kicks the whole time. Very simple. So obviously it's going to be my pick. She's going to be in all my parlays, et cetera, et cetera. Next fight, Alexander Volkanovski rematch with the reigning, defending, arguably 145-pound GOAT, Max Holloway. Incredible matchup. Volkanovski's a sizable favorite. Matt.
Dude.
Wait. Is Jan? I thought it was Jan and Aldo.
Yeah.
Oh, my fault. You're right. Let's go to that one. We got Petr.
Hey, I already made my mistake.
Aldo. Aldo's sitting at about plus 200 going against Petr Yan. Matt.
So we were talking about this fight earlier in the week, right? And I understood your point, Mike, because you were pretty vocal about it. If this was a 3-round fight, I favor Aldo. Probably like 8 times out of 10. But the fact that this is 5 rounds, and we've seen Aldo have clear durability issues, clear gas tank issues in recent fights, I 100% favor Jan in this fight. I love the bet you placed. I'll let you tell our listeners about that because I think it's a great bet. But, yeah, man, in a 5-round fight, I favor Jan. His boxing it's ridiculous. And, again, the durability issues with Aldo, I think he gets cracked a lot. And I don't think I do not think it's going to be a fun night for him. I think it might actually be a quick night for Jan if he starts teeing off early. That being said, in all of Jan's previous fights, he is a little bit of a slow starter. I think in all of his recent fights against Dodson, I think he was losing like every round, and then he would just crack Dodson at the end of the round and win the round. All 3 rounds. And Uriah Faber, he dropped late in the round. Like he's a very calculated fighter. Every time I watch him, I'm insanely impressed with him. His boxing is ridiculous. His defense is even more impressive. His chin is very hard to find. That being said, I do think that Aldo has more weapons. I don't know if we're going to be able to see them. I don't think he's going to be, trying to look to take the fight to the ground because that's just not Jose Aldo. Even the movement, like Jan doesn't even move that much. So I would say like, oh, maybe Aldo's leg kicks can slow him down, but like it can, but I just don't think that Jan's style relies so heavy on movement. Like I watch him, he's not like I'm not picturing like Dominic Cruz movement. You know what I mean? Like his style, like it's not based off movement. It's based on crisp defense, crisp boxing. And I start to come in. I think Aldo starts to fade in later rounds. I understand seeing a guy like Aldo plus 200 is very enticing. I do not blame you for betting him, but I'm all aboard the Jan train. Chris?
Yeah, so, okay. I have a lot to say about this one. I agree with everything you just said, Matt. I don't want to say what you just said again, but I bet it, like, okay, if you look at this straight up and you're like, even money, who are you going to bet on? I'm betting on Jan. Aldo at plus 200 is insane value. Like I've never seen Aldo at plus 200 odds. And like, that just seems too good. And his last fight when he went against Marlon Moraes, he did not, at the end of the 3rd round, he was fresh still. He was not tired at all. He's yelling at Dana White in the crowd. And like you said, Matt, what you referenced, I want to see the return of Aldo's leg kicks. If Aldo utilizes leg kicks, even 50% of what he used to throw, I think that could be really bad for Jan. Jan is very boxing heavy. He's front foot heavy because of his boxing style. And I think that if Aldo can disrupt that, plus 200 on him is insane value. Like Dana White said, he's the best fighter of all time for the first 2 rounds of the fight. And he didn't seem to be getting tired as of recent. I'm just saying. So at plus 200, I would love to sprinkle a bet of Aldo by stoppage. Just throw that in there. That's even bigger plus money. And Jan has won a lot of fights by decision. Like I know he has this powerhouse aura, but a lot of his fights he wins by decision. He's like Jimmy Rivera. Congrats, you beat Jimmy Rivera by decision. Like Marlon Moraes put that dude's lights out already. He should put out the blueprint. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I want to see Jan. I've never seen Jan go 5 rounds, so I want to see Jan go 5 rounds. And yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. I'm gonna ride with Al. I'm gonna pick Aldo. I'm gonna put Aldo as a live dog. But I mean, the narrative is totally towards Jan, so we shall see.
Yeah, let's just put this into perspective here. I'm pretty sure Jan only has 5, maybe 6 fights in the UFC, and he's getting
6-0.
Yeah, he's getting a title shot over a win over Uriah Faber, an over the hill Uriah Faber. Granted, it was a tremendous performance, knocked him out, great. But prior to that, like you said, Jimmy Rivera decision, great. That was part of his 3-fight skid. Jose Aldo has been there with the best of the best of the best fighters in the world. And the fact that he's a plus 200 is absurd. Petr Yan, he like you said, he's a boxing heavy guy primarily. He throws some kicks, but he's a boxing guy, counters, great head movement, this, that, and the other. But he leaves his leg out there pretty heavy. His front leg is pretty heavy out there. He switches stances well, but he leaves it out there. And if Aldo can find that, he's going to whale it. And the thing is, Aldo has bad cardio when he's being pressured. Max Holloway beat him in the 3rd round at pretty much the exact same minute mark because Aldo's being pressured and he just got worn on and he lost. I don't see Petr Yan putting on like that kind of pressure, not Holloway pressure, but he definitely pressures. He cuts off the cage awesome. I just think plus 200 is absurd. And what we were talking about is for Aldo to win in rounds 1 and 2 is plus 550. And like you said, Aldo's the best fighter in the world for rounds 1 and 2. So if you find that, I think that's tremendous value. You put 20 on that, you net 110. So I am too, 100%. I'm going with Aldo in this fight because people are constantly counting him out, man. And if you look at the fights after the McGregor loss, he's looked good in all of them. The Holloway losses were rough, but he looked good against Moraes. He looked good, decent against Volkanovski. He knocked Jeremy Stevens. Who's the Brazilian guy that he destroyed? Not Malcolm Americani.
Chito?
Renato Moicano?
Moicano, yeah, that fight.
Yeah, I get
So,
those
like,
names.
I just don't understand, like, the hate for him and the love for Jan. Like, Jan hasn't beaten anybody that's, like, super high caliber. Like, do you consider over the hill Uriah Faber or Jimmy Rivera high caliber? Because I don't.
No.
There's no way. So I'm going off the fact that Aldo's a legend. He's only 33. He's still got it in him. He looked good at 135, and he's fought everybody. So I'm gonna ride with plus 200 here. I think there's so much value on that.
I agree. I can't disagree with that. You guys make me want to change my mind. It's just like, when you want, I just haven't really seen any obvious holes in Jan that make me say, all right, that's where Aldo can expose him. And until I see that, I find it hard to fade a guy that's looked as impenetrable as he has. Like, he's definitely beatable. Everybody's beatable. It's UFC any given night, but I just haven't seen it yet. And I don't know, man. We'll see what happens Saturday.
I mean, dude, Vegas is clearly on your side. What's Jan? 2.5 to 1 favorite, I think. So they're clearly on your side, Matt. I think that we're not seeing those holes in Jan's game because there's no one. John Dodson, who actually dropped him, Jimmy Rivera, 40 fucking 1,000-year-old Uriah Faber. Like, none of those guys were really there to expose Jan. You know what I'm saying? They were there to put Jan in this position, and now we'll see if Aldo can expose Jan. I'm not saying he's going to based on the odds, but I'm there. I'm here for it, baby.
Yeah, I'm honestly just as interested in this fight as any other one. But moving forward, co-main event, Alex Volkanovski rematch with Max Holloway for the 145-pound strap. Matt.
Dude, for as much as I've watched these guys, I find this to be the hardest fight on the card to analyze because the way you got to look at a fight like this, and the odds agree, what can Max do differently? And I don't know because I feel like the Max we saw in that fight is the same Max we've seen against Aldo. Like, same output. I just think that it sounds so simple. I just think that Volkanovski just hit him harder. And, you kind of saw it against Dustin. Granted, different argument because it's 155 and Max Holloway's punches just weren't stinging Dustin the way Dustin's were stinging him. But you know what kind of fighter Max is. He's a pressure fighter, high output. And if he can't get that game going, he really doesn't have the power to fall back on, especially as the rounds move on, to scare his opponents. Like, Volkanovski, he's going to be heavy on the leg kicks again, which is going to disrupt Max's movement, which is so key to his game. And I know he said he's been fighting since he's 16. He doesn't need to spar. He's had his training camp over Zoom. Of course he's going to say that. I mean, I love Max. I'm not biased against him. I think the price on him, same case for Aldo. It's crazy to see Max Holloway plus 185 or whatever it is. Don't blame me for betting him. I just don't see what he could do that's that much different to make me say, all right, Max is going to win. It's not like the Rose fight. You know what I mean? Where, like, she was winning and, the rest is history. I really just don't see what he could do different. Volkanovski's really fucking good, man, and he's powerful. He's really powerful. And Max would have to tag him. And I think he'd have to tag him early and make him hesitant because Volkanovski's going to be coming in there, the more confident fighter, I think. It's going to be a very close fight. It's going to be very, very close. I don't know, man. It's so tough. When do you guys go? I'm going to go Volkanovski, but I'm going to be on a seesaw till Saturday.
I'm with you with these. All right, so first off, I honestly think I've been a Max Holloway fan for a long time now, and I honestly think that the fan in me won't let me pick against him. But again, seeing Max Holloway as an underdog in general, let alone in the plus 185, is insane. Last time he was an underdog was to Brian Ortega, who he made look like a fucking fool. And I'm not saying this is the same fight by any means. Volkanovski might be Max Holloway's kryptonite. His style, so leg kick heavy. Like you said, they both have a similar style in the fact that they are cardio machines. They're coming for you. They're out. They're really based on output. Max has had some, pretty heavy comments saying that he thinks that Volkanovski's a point fighter, just based on like he's tapping the leg, throwing the overhand, tapping the leg, and they were counting those leg kicks as significant strikes. The scorecards were 48-47, 48-47, 50-45. Whoever scored 50-45 is on fucking crack, but that's MMA judging for you. So if you just go 48-47, that's 3 rounds to 2. I think Holloway won the 4th and the 5th, which I weigh extremely fucking heavily. And Max, his fighting style, he's like a computer. Once he starts off slow, he gets hit a lot. I remember when he fought Aldo the first time, Aldo ripped him with an uppercut, a couple overhands, and I was like, oh wow. Same thing with Petr, caught him with a couple shots, and Max is just like a computer in his head. Once he figures you out, you're in fucking trouble, and it's not going to stop because his pace in the first round is going to be the same as the 5th. And I can see him this time just winning a decision over Volkanovski. I would love to see what the line is on Max Holloway winning by decision, because I'd bet on that. I'm going to pick Max Holloway here at a plus 185 underdog. I don't think it's insane that Max is an underdog. I just think it's insane value that you can get Max fucking Holloway plus 185, who's up until this point, up until his last fight, the greatest featherweight of all time. I mean, Aldo, 1A, 1B, whatever the fuck you want to put there, you're right,
Hunter's better than both.
I just think that Max Holloway being the greatest featherweight of all time, that narrative has just dropped, and I'm still here for it. Like, I didn't forget when a year ago everyone said Max Holloway is the greatest featherweight of all time. Now he's a plus 185 underdog, and I'm going to fucking ride with him.
I'm going to echo what Matt said. It's like that fight, the first fight was like the perfect game plan for Volkanovski to win this fight. Like use the leg kick, slow him down. Your cardio is matched with him. You hit a little bit harder. Like everything was adding up for like recipe for an upset. And I said it like before that first fight even happened. Like I actually bet on Volkanovski in the first fight, and I said it because if you can match Holloway's cardio and you could match his output, which he did, you got a fight on your hands, and because Holloway gets hit, and he leaves his leg out there, it gets kicked, so that I like Matt said, what can Holloway do? Like what major adjustments can he do that Volkanovski will not be prepared for? And I don't personally see it. But with that being said, Holloway is the GOAT at 145 for a reason. Like I think it's no dispute. I think he's better than, like, he took Aldo's spot at 145. But with that being said, like you said, Chris, this might be a kryptonite. Alex might be the kryptonite for Holloway, and I'm super eager to watch this match. I don't think the line should be what it is. I think it should be a little bit closer. I think they're disrespecting Holloway with the line that it's at right now. So the value is all on Holloway. I agree. But if I'm going to make a pick, I'm going to pick Volkanovski.
Also, one thing to add to that.
Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, but one thing to add to that, Holloway, what Max said, how he's been training on Zoom. I mean, like that was pretty, he was on Ariel's show, so everyone heard about that. What's kind of flown under the radar for me, I don't know, maybe which you guys have heard, I'm sure, but a lot of people haven't been talking about for whatever reason. Volkanovski wasn't training with Eugene Behrman. Like he was really focused on Hooker, and everyone credits Volkanovski, Adesanya, and Hooker's success to Eugene Behrman and his game plan in his mind. He wasn't there, and I don't think – I would be really shocked if I was wrong, but I don't think Eugene's going to be in his corner either, which is a big fucking hit.
Real quick, one more for something Chris just brought up, and I actually agree with this, and it might sway my decision a little bit depending on how much I'm down on this card at this point. Notice I just say down because being up for me isn't an option in recent years. But in my opinion, if you're going to bet Holloway – he's not knocking him out. Unless something crazy happens, he's plus 700 to knock it out. So that puts that whole fucking scenario in perspective. If you think Holloway's going to win, ignore that money line. Go right to Holloway by decision. You're getting via DraftKings, whether you use FanDuel, it's probably the same shit, plus 275. Getting a whole extra 100 points, basically. So if you really think Holloway's going to win, guys, go by decision. He's not going to knock him out. He's going to, if there's a route for him to win, he's going to increase his volume. He's going to get on his bike earlier, and he's going to win the exact same fight that Volkanovski won the first round. He's just going to steal another round. It's going to be 3-2 the other way or 4-1, whatever. I do think if this fight is going to be Holloway, it's going to be by decision. So there's your money right there. Mike?
Yeah. I'm glad we're talking about this because we're all bringing up such great points here. I don't know how this fight's going to go down, but it's incredibly exciting. So on to the main event. 6 days notice. Jorge Masvidal weighing in at 190 pounds and eating pizza on a plane, going up against the reigning defending champ, 11-0 in the UFC, I believe. Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, Usman. 1 knockout win and 11 UFC fights. 1. So I just want to say that now. Matt, go ahead.
Oh boy, I love Masvidal, man, but I just think it's gonna be a long night. I said to Mike pre-podcast, and I don't think it's that outrageous of a claim. Chris's jaw is gonna hit the ground. Give it like a year, depending on how active he is. We could potentially be talking about Usman as like a top 3 fighter ever. Like he beats Masvidal, then you start to look at his resume. Covington, he showed the world how to beat Woodley. He's got Damian Maia. He's got RDA. You want to scroll further down the list. He beat Leon. Like, he's fucking good. He's undefeated since he's been in the UFC. And, like, even though Colby gave him a run for his money, like, he ended up knocking him the fuck out, man. He just – his gas tank is unquestionable. So is Masvidal's, though. Like, they're not going to go anywhere. I just think that Usman's going to – he's just going to bully him in there, man. I think he's going to – I hate talking shit about Masvidal because I love him. He's the fucking man, dude. He's such an OG, but there's a reason that he's minus 300, and this fight is on 6 days' notice, like Mike said. I think Usman, I think he even tries to prove a point. I don't think he takes this fight to the ground right away. I think he stands and trades with them a little bit. Could end up being his demise. But if he decides to just put Masvidal up against the cage, drop him on his ass, it's going to be a long night of ground and pound, in my opinion, until that referee steps in. He's that fucking good. And I'm not even a disclaimer. I'm not biased at all. I'm not an Usman fan. Fuck Ali. I hate that guy. Like, I have no bias towards him. I just truly think he's that good. And I don't know who in that division right now is going to beat him. I would have said the same shit about Gilbert Burns. I would have said, fought at 155, got knocked out by Dan Hooker. Usman's going to be the bigger man. He's going to put him out. Like, I wouldn't have picked Burns either. So I'm all the way Usman. I would put him in any parlay. I'm probably going to be down like $1,000 at this point and have to hang up the full line. So see what happens. Chris.
Oh, man. So my opinion, man, I know what Mike's going to say. And I feel like I've said this a lot. I got to exhale because my brain is just like this. When I talk about these fights, I think about fights like this. This fight is crazy because I don't want to sound like a hater right off the bat. I do not want to sound like a hater. But every single one of my friends now who thinks Masvidal is like the biggest badass ever, everyone thinks he's new to the scene. Like he's like this, I just can't. If he knocks Usman out with some crazy shit, I'm going to have to fucking shoot my friends because they're going to be like, Chris, I told you so, bro. You told us there was no way he's going to win. I'm like, dude, I'm going to lose my fucking mind because in no way should Jorge Masvidal win this fight. He's an ex-55er moving up to welterweight. He's a true welterweight now. He knocked out Darren Till, who's a fucking middleweight. So, hey, true welterweight now. He couldn't make 55 anymore. Kamaru Usman literally couldn't make 155 if you cut his fucking legs off. He's humongous. Obviously, Masvidal's a better striker, but Usman is very well versed on the feet. Wrestling is not even – like grappling, wrestling is not even in the equation. I remember when Masvidal fought Damian Maia, Masvidal's whole camp was basically not being taken down, and he did very well. He lost a split decision, but he did do well. But Usman's a different beast, significantly stronger than Maia, way better takedowns than Maia. MMA math beat the living shit out of Damian Maia. He's a freak. He's I think he's gonna ragdoll Masvidal, and I love Masvidal. I love what he's doing, bringing eyes to sport, MSG, the whole nine. He's a beast. So I don't want to see the Masvidal flame diminish, but I don't want my asshole friends to rub it in that the 1 in 10 shot that Masvidal had to win, he fucking knocks Usman out cold in the first round. Although, to play devil's advocate to myself, I always say that I root for the UFC because if Masvidal wins, that's just big fucking money, big publicity for the UFC. And I would literally bet money that Conor McGregor fights Masvidal for
Dude,
the
fuck
belt at
you.
170 if he
I was-
fucking wins.
I was just gonna say, if Masvidal wins, Dana's literally gonna spit a promo for Masvidal Connor in the post-fight press conference.
He's like, no matter what, he's like, Conor McGregor's blowing up my phone right now. But and then you know what they would do, right? You know that if Masvidal won, it would be the welterweight title and the BMF title on the line, and he would fight Conor McGregor. And if McGregor won, he would say that he has 4 belts, and he would, you know, like he would. At that point, if Conor did that, he should and would never fight again. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves because Kamaru Usman's going to beat the shit out of him. So.
Yeah. Every single possible sign points towards Usman winning this fight. And okay, you can say his boxing is better, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's better than Usman's, but mixed martial arts doesn't really mean much. But what I'm saying is the only thing that Masvidal might have here is a psychological advantage because he's freaking crazy, man. And if he can even I'm not saying this is going to happen. Don't put words in my mouth. But if he somehow gets in Usman's mind and Usman's like, all right, I'm going to stand up with this guy. Bad idea. But that's literally the only way that Masvidal can win this fight is by knockout, by getting in his head and, somehow keeping it standing up and knocking him out. But other than that, Usman is 110% better and should win this fight. The only way he loses this fight is if the MMA gods point down and they drop a piece of their popcorn, it lands on Usman's head and he gets knocked out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the only way. Any other thoughts, guys? Go ahead.
Yes, Masvidal. Mike Brown tested positive for COVID.
Oh yeah,
and cannot be in Masvidal's corner. So I'm not saying that's like, whatever. He trained with him the whole time. Like, that's one thing where he can totally give him technical advice in his corner, obviously, but they've had such a, coach-student relationship for such a long time now that Masvidal knows what the fuck to do. You know what I mean? Granted, they came up that Ben Askren knee, that was – I know I'm talking to fucking you guys, and I know you know. But him and Mike Brown trained that a million fucking times in the gym, and it played out absolutely perfectly in the cage. So I'm sure they have, a game plan already. They were basically – this fight was supposed to go down to International Fight Week, and they were talking about that in March. So they were already training for each other. So that's one thing where even though it's short notice, Masvidal's been in the gym. Poirier said he was his main training partner for Hooker. So he's been in the gym. He's in shape. He's ready to go. So that's why the narrative – I saw Usman say this, and he's right. The narrative is a win-win for Masvidal. Oh, he took the fight on short notice, that's why he lost. Or he took the fight on short notice and he fucking knocked his ass out. And he's even fucking cooler. Just like what Nate Diaz did to McGregor when he choked his ass out in 11 days notice, whatever it was. He got that fucking rub. It's a win-win situation for Masvidal. So, yeah. And And if Masvidal loses, he's still got the fucking BMF belt. So as long as he doesn't get I don't want to see a fucking Khabib 5-round grind out decision. That would be fucking brutal on Usman's part. You know what I mean? But who the fuck am I to tell him how to fight? That's it. I got nothing else to say. My mind's fucking racing. I'm going to have 100 more opinions about it before Saturday. Let's get this money, baby. UFC 251, Yaz Island.
I can't wait, dude. I can't fucking wait.
And let's not forget, Masvidal's been fighting for more than half of his life,
Yeah.
Big deal. Like, Usman's got that wrestling pedigree. But, let's put it this way. Kamaru Usman is a mixed martial artist. Masvidal's a fighter, so I don't know. You can look at this a million different ways, but at the end of the day, all signs point towards Usman. And I kind of hope that the betting public is just – honestly, I have a question for you guys. Who do you – by the time the fight, materializes, what do you think the odds are going to be? Do you think it's going to be betting public on Masvidal, or do you think it's going to be the sharp bettors on Usman? What do you think how do you think it's going to change?
Masvidal.
I think Usman will not surpass minus 350.
If I get Masvidal at plus 300, I'm taking a swing. I don't care.
I also there's one more thing I wanted to say about this. Oh, the big loser here is Gilbert Burns, because you know how the UFC operates. He lost his title shot, and if Masvidal wins, Gilbert Burns is literally never getting a fucking title shot. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if Usman wins, depending on how it all goes down, I could see Dana keeping his promise to Gilbert Burns because of what he, he said yes to it, did the whole thing. But I could see it going Colby Covington's way. Who the fuck knows? Anything could happen. So we'll see. I just feel bad for Gilbert in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? And Leon Edwards, you know, who knows what's up for him too.
Oh, fuck him.
Yeah. And also, dude, I didn't even say, I know we said it on previous podcasts, but I want to see what Whitman, if he has any effect on Usman's game plan at all, or how he comes out, or, you know, what have it. Because I know Whitman is super game plan heavy, so I'm sure they were scheming something up for Gilbert Burns. They had to switch it last minute to Usman. I'm going to be pumped to see him in his corner and see what he has to offer. Let's get it, baby.
I'm pumped, man. I love watching Usman, dude. He's so fucking good. He impresses me so much.
All right, closing statements, guys.
Yeah, I got one. This card's in a couple days. NJ Betting Guru's picks are mailed out on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. There's a promo on his website. I think it's only like $45 right now. $45. You can win like $2,500, $3,500. You steal your life. Get out there. Get on his website. Get on his Instagram. Check it out. Guy's legit.
That's it for me, boys. Be well. Love the sport. I'll see you on Saturday.
Later, guys.